Well, I'd love myself some frog. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GOAT Network. I am your host, Wizard, and on today's RetroGOAT we are taking a look at King's Bounty: The Legend. Developed by Kautari Interactive and published by 1C Company, this is the spiritual successor to the original King's Bounty, which in turn was the precursor to the Heroes of Might and Magic games developed by New World Computing. And if you don't know about the Heroes of Might and Magic games, you should stop watching this video and instead go and pick that one up and play it to death, because it is an extraordinary game series, and I suggest that you go through it from number 1 to number 3, maybe 4, and after that stop playing, because the old ones are the best ones, in my personal opinion. Anyways, we're gonna have a look at King's Bounty: The Legend and show a little bit about what it's all about, and maybe mention a little bit about the differences between King's Bounty: The Legend and the Heroes of Might and Magic games. So bear with me here. Welcome to the main campaign of King's Bounty: The Legend. We're currently in the strategy map, and seeing as this is a tactical RPG/strategy game, I have to explain quite a lot in this video for those who are not familiar with the concept. So excuse me if I go on about things that you already know if you played the Heroes of Might and Magic games and the likes. So, in King's Bounty: The Legend, you play as one single hero. I'm currently playing as a mage, as you see here. Quite naturally, I would go for the magic caster. You can also play as either a paladin or a warrior, focusing on one of these different skill trees here. You have your hero with its own stats and different skills. Attack, defense, intellect, quite self-explanatory. These stats will buff your creatures in different aspects, make your army stronger. Intellect will mostly help you with spell casting, as you might imagine. So you have your hero with its own stats. This is my frog princess that I married earlier. Yes, and we are currently awaiting a small frog child. Ugh, God. Anyhow, your army also has its own stats and skills. Let's see if we can find... let's go into this here. We have a priest here. You can see is that it has basic attack, defense, and then you get other values depending on how good your own attack and defense skills are. And it also has 2 talents here, which it can use in combat. It can either do healing 2 times every combat, or bless, which has a reload time of 1. So you have an infinite amount of blesses, but it has to reload between times. It's a ranged unit, and has a number of different other abilities as well. As you also can see here, we have different items and artifacts that you can pick up throughout your adventure and upgrade. I'm currently trying to max out intellect as far as possible, however I'm abysmal when it comes to attack. You don't have any strategy resources, but you have gold, rage and mana. So we'll come back to rage later. Your gold, you want to use that for buying, of course, more units for your army, or buy different artifacts, different descriptions. And this is the strategy map. On this map you run around picking up interesting stuff, exploring, doing quests. You have one main quest tree given to you by the king, and then you have a lot of different side quests. Currently we're in a graveyard area where we have a quest to re-establish the holiness of this place or something like that by going into the crypts here and defeating different armies, and also reactivating holy wards of some description. So unlike other games of this type, you have no tactical resources and you don't own bases. So you won't be building stuff in your castle and so on, which makes for a more adventure focused experience, I'd say. Okay, let's cast a fireball on these here. Down it goes. Although you can recognize a lot of these creatures from other games of this type. I mean, it's a pretty classical fantasy setup. Let's throw some holy water on these. But it has a lot of uniqueness in itself. And if you like the Heroes of the Might and Magic games, you will probably either love or at least really like King's Bounty series. As I said earlier, King's Bounty, the original, was actually the predecessor to the original Heroes of the Might and Magic. And although this was released in 2008, it has a lot of the more classical elements of those series intact. Which for me is a very nice thing, seeing as we're so dreadfully filled up with uninteresting, cheap, easy games where you just go for as many achievements as possible, with a very generic fantasy setting. This actually feels charming, authentic, kind of old school actually. So we'll travel into this crypt here. Let's see if we can find something to fight. There we have an enemy troop. So if you play the Heroes of Might and Magic games, you will recognize that in this game you of course have the classical elements of Heroes of Might and Magic 1, 2 and 3, but you also have this. See, it activated when I came close enough, which is I guess it's taken from Heroes of Might and Magic 4 if you want to go for where the gameplay comes from. Let's pick up some more of this gold here. Tomb braiding, yay! You can outrun these enemies if you like. However, oh god. Well, anyways, let me explain the combat for those of you who are not familiar with this concept. So, you have your creatures symbolically represented on this hexagonal battlefield. You have action points for each and every one of these, and the order in which they take their turn is decided by initiative. So Griffin has initiative 5, this one has initiative 6, so you want to have as high initiative as possible. Each combat round you can cast one spell. There are 3 different trees of spells here. Order spells, distortion spells and chaos spells. I'm focusing mainly on chaos spells because, you know, everyone loves destruction. Let's dump a fireball right at that archer. Go down. Sweet. So now I've used my spell for this combat round, and therefore the spellbook is grayed out. However, as you can also see here, this creature has a lunge ability, which means it will do more damage than usual. I think oh, in this case it doesn't actually do more damage, it does a little bit less damage. However, it will lunge out to a space, 2 spaces in front of him and attack without the possibility of retaliation from the enemy. which is very useful. And you can also wait, which will mean that your creature waits for another... it waits for a little while on its initiative to see what the enemy does. So let's go ahead and do that. You can also use defense, which will heighten your defense value for the rest of the turn. However, right now I want to just wait and see what the enemy does, except maybe... oh no, never mind. So they come in here, nice and bundled into a group, which means I should be able to... there, let's drop that ghost. Every creature has their own talents and their own abilities. This one has good physical damage resistance. And if you're unfamiliar with these games, you have to understand that this is 60 units of swordsman, which means that when it attacks, it will do 4 to 5 times 60 damage. It has a health of 32. That doesn't mean that the total troop has health of 32. As you can see there, the total troop health is 1920. But when the enemy has done 32 damage or more, you will lose one of these swordsmen. Or more, depending on how much damage it does. The speed is how many movement blocks it can move. And initiative is as I explained earlier, in what turn it will actually do something. So let's go ahead and put him on defense, because he can't get into reach. In this game, you will end that unit's turn if you attack. So I could move forward here and then attack, which would mean I use one of my action points for moving and one for attacking, or I could just attack, which uses all my action points to do just that. Let's drop it on the one back there. Holy water. And as you can see here, we also have a special interactable item on the battlefield, which is a difference between this game and the Heroes of Might and Magic games, most certainly. There are usually also maybe a chest or two, as you saw in some of the other battles, I think, where you can find gold, magical runes, magical crystals, all kinds of stuff, really. And it can be a little bit of a balance issue. You might want to use your turn to take out different special objectives, or take chests to get more out of the battle and so on. Or you might want to focus on defeating the actual enemy. Here we go, no casualties on my side. Very good. Let's stay out of that one's way. Oh, ooh. That's a little bit cool. Sarcophagus, give me more money. And some necromancers. Yeah, let's bring these down as well. Another difference between this game and the Heroes of Might and Magic games is that there are actually boss battles in this game. I'm going to cut out here and show you a boss battle and explain a little bit more about the rage system and so on. Here we go. A boss battle. Let's see how we do against a giant turtle. First of all, let's get some magic going. Can I actually? Wait, so you're supposed to attack its feet first. Right. Forward, my trusty snakes! And my lovely griffins. My strange dwarves. Let's put some poison on that foot. Haha! Ooh! So as you can see here, you can attack different points of its body. And usually it has a purpose of some description. Let's see. Come on. Oh god, I want to use my fireball. Aww. Oh well. Let's just use that. Aha! Oh god, I'm kicking this one's ass. Die. So this is a couple of hours into the main campaign. I'm probably a bit over leveled for this right now, seeing as I'm playing it really safe. However, I didn't want to get my ass kicked. So the questing system is non-linear, which is rather good, because then you can just go on about it. Oh, I didn't lose a single soldier. Oh. Then you can just go on with it any way you like. Level up! Which is perfect right now, seeing as I can show you the leveling system. Stop, you might not come or I curse you bad! Yes, whatever. I won't have much time for thinking your next. Whoa. We'll see who's strong. Weak mage, me knock on your head. Okay. Wait, is there another part of this? No, okay. He fled. That's just lovely. So, as I said, the leveling system. To level up, you need runes. Of course, every time you level up, you get more runes, and you also get to choose a bonus, like an increased statistic, more mana, more rage, or more leadership. Leadership is this, and I forgot to mention earlier, you need leadership to order and command a number of different units. See, each one of these require leadership, so as it says here, having 2,686 points of leadership, I can hire up to 76 such creatures. So every single unit requires 35 leadership. If I don't have enough leadership and still somehow manage to get a larger group, I won't be able to control them in combat. They basically just run around doing random stuff, which isn't particularly helpful, as you might imagine. Let's see now. I have 7 might runes, 12 mind runes, and 6 magic runes. That should be enough to get me something useful. Either I could go for glory, which isn't bad at all. I could use some more leadership. Or I could keep upgrading my magic arsenal, but I would really like to have one more magic room before I go for distortion magic. So that's 2, so that means I would have 10 mind runes and 5 might runes left. Can I get both these 5 mind runes? Oh, yes, I could go for glory. Here we go. And I'll have the maximum amount there. And I'll just keep these until I can upgrade distortion magic to level 2, because that would be really useful. Also, while the cameras were not rolling, I had a son called Gandalf. Yes, it's very, very silly. My frog princess. Oh, Croak? Yes. So this is a very interesting touch on this game. You can actually have a wife, which will give you bonuses, and you can have a family, and then you can dump your wife if you like. I'm not going to do that, because she's very useful for me right now, seeing as I want more intellect. And this one gives me plus 20% to intellect, and that is great. Alright, I thought we would get to see how the chest of rage system works there, but I guess I'll just have to cut once again. But wizard, how do you acquire an army, you ask? You have to go around the world and discover different locales. This is the starting area. And here you can buy from the castle, the royal castle, you can buy peasants, archers and swordsmen. Currently it says horde here, which means that it's an infinite supply. It will not end. However, most places have a restriction on how many units you can buy. For an example, earlier, this tower over here sold archmages and priests. Let's just go in here. So now it only has 21 priests, and I'm going to buy them all. There we go. Now there's nothing left here to buy, except of course some magic scrolls and potions of mana. So therefore you have to try and get a composition of an army that you can sustain with troops. And depending on whatever you fight, you want to have units that are suited for fighting that particular sort of enemy. Like if you're fighting undead, you want more priests and those types of creatures. And if you're fighting quick enemies but weak, you might want defensive units that move slowly, that can take a beating, but then when they hit, they will just crush the enemy and so on. Here we have a ghost ship, which sells zombies. That's after I've defeated its guardians. So you see, you'll want to go around and discover a lot of the world. It's really encouraged in this game. And it's a very colorful and vibrant world, with a lot of details, as you can see. A little bit cartoony, but it gives a very nice and I guess cozy feeling, which will keep you interested in the world for quite some time. At least if you like these sorts of games. So the system of rage is basically a secondary magic system of some description. But instead of gathering scrolls and leveling them up, you have 4 different creatures in the chest of rage that you level up, and they gain different magical abilities that you can use in combat at the cost of rage. Rage you can accumulate by fighting creatures. Spilling blood will accumulate rage, and also through rage potions and skills and abilities. Right now we have 6 rage. We want to try and get that up to 7 to be able to use the smashing sword of Serok. Let's just fight these guys for a while. Let's see if we can get there. Come on now. Aha! Can't fear me. Bloody wolves. Let's throw it right about there. Let's have some poison. So while we wait, let me explain why I decided to showcase such a new game. I mean, this game was released in 2008. That's not very retro, is it? Well, here we go. There's some rage. In case you were wondering about that, I think this game deserves to be shown because it goes in the same line as the old Heroes of Might and Magic games. The feeling of this game is very much like the joy of exploring and fighting that you had in the old Heroes of Might and Magic games. I also believe a lot of gamers actually decided to not pick this one up or missed it because it's Russian production, which is a bit sad really when you think about it. And it's not widely known in the Western world, at least not as far as people I know. So I thought that all fans of the Heroes of Might and Magic games should take a look at this one, because it will give you hours upon hours of entertainment. And there is so much to discover and so much to do. Let's see if we can finish these guys off. That has a reload time as well. Right now you can find King's Bounty the Legend on both Steam and GOG.com. On Steam it's Euro 9.99, or your regional equivalent. And on GOG.com it's a little bit cheaper, it's in dollars, $9.99. So go ahead and pick this one up. If you love the Heroes of Might and Magic games, you're gonna love this. And in the end notes here, I'd like to point out a couple of different issues with this game as well. In the original copy of this game, the notorious Star Force protection was used. You might remember the issue with the Star Force, or otherwise you can look it up on Wikipedia or somewhere. But it's basically a copy protection software that had some major issues back in the day, and actually got removed from a lot of places and software because it crashed computer systems, or at least people said it did. And it wasn't easy to uninstall once you had installed it. So that's one downside. Also, well, I think it's a little bit boring to see that you can only play as three different characters. Also, they are all male and there is no customizability except, of course, the skill trees. And even though you can find it entertaining that you can pick up a wife and then you can just throw her away at any time. Let's see here, I can choose this. Go away, you're not my wife anymore. And you actually get points for having a lot of different wives. I find that a little bit questionable in today's standards. But I guess it's all good fun. Anyway, this has been Wizard showcasing King's Bounty the Legend. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you around.